3rd, 2019. I'm at the Glendo State Park in Glendo, Wyoming. And to put it in perspective, if you know your geography, I am south of Douglas, Wyoming, where I'll be speaking at tonight. And I am east of Casper, Wyoming, and I am north of Cheyenne, Wyoming. So just so that you know where I am at. I'm out in the middle of nowhere. There's just a lot of beauty around here. Um, the lake behind me, there's like I don't know what it's called, a bluff that's like right there. And a lot of birds that are around here and other animals. So I am basically out in the middle of nowhere where I like to be in Wyoming. It's very scenic, very peaceful. I love to be in peaceful places. Obviously, when you're around, a city where there's lots of traffic and honking and horns and angry people, then you tend to lose your peace more easily than when you're out in nature. So I always encourage everyone to get out in nature and enjoy yourself. So, hello, Tina Marie Kirkpatrick from College Station, Texas. My associate at Restored to Freedom, and Karen Lloyd and Sue Ellis and Deborah, and I saw, let's see, Dr. Welch on there, a new RTF member, and we're excited, and Sue Ellis from Colorado. So we're excited because the Lord spoke to me actually the last couple of weeks and said, I want you to add on your website a listing of different RTF deliverance centers that are around the world where people that want to come in to set up an appointment can actually meet at, a church, a healing room, a house of prayer, wherever there are people that have been certified with Restored to Freedom that understand how to get people delivered, from Jezebel, Leviathan, Ahab, Legion, witchcraft, curses, the big ones. And so I finally had a little bit of time to get that done yesterday, and it's now available on my website. We're going to be adding a couple more centers later today, and then there's another one up in Canada that should be added probably by next week. So I know a lot of people, they are getting delivered on the worldwide deliverance sessions that I do. I've got one coming up this Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern, the last Sunday of every month. The Lord's been having me do a worldwide deliverance session. We see a good percentage of people that get delivered because they understand, maybe not the first time. A lot of them, it may take them 2 times, 3 times, 4 times before they humble themselves from the pride, before they can recognize that they even have pride and that they can forgive those that have hurt them. So we offer that free. People can get delivered for free, freely received, freely given. But then those that want to actually set up a personal session to spend more time, then we also have personal deliverance ministry people, about over 100 people now in, I think, 9 countries. And that's awesome as well. So people can get delivered through them. And then now the Lord wants to have various centers set up throughout the world where people can go to and feel comfortable in getting set free. So that has been added to the Restored to Freedom website. You can check that out to see where the centers are located at. Again, these are just basically people that have been certified that have a building, whether it's a church, whether it's a healing room, whether it's a fitness center. We have a fitness center that actually does deliverances now. And it's amazing what God's doing, trying to get, the millions of people that are currently in church truly set free and delivered so that they actually operate like a true Christian should, with fruit that smells good and not bad. So anyway, all that being said, today's topic, talks about basically how determined are you for freedom. Don't let the enemy stop you from getting your freedom, and how driven are you to get that freedom? Do you simply, go through one deliverance one time in your life and you think you're good to go the rest of your life, and then you get more people that hurt you, and then you take an offense and you get angry with them? All of that stuff comes into play to a person's freedom. And I talked about that a couple of days ago when I went to get my car washed, how the Lord had spoken to me that it's an ongoing process. You can't just wash your car once and be good to go for the rest of the history with your car. It's going to get dirty and filthy because you're out there in the world. Same thing goes with us. We have people that are affected by demonic spirits. A lot of them are in the church. They're going to say things to hurt you. And if you take an offense, if you get angry with them, then unfortunately you're going to have to go through more deliverance, which simply means I'm forgiving those that have hurt me, and I'm humbling myself from the pride. It's not that hard. Deliverance has a negative connotation. That's why we like to call it freedom, because that's really what we're doing, is we're getting freed from the enemy's torment of our thoughts in our mind. Because the enemy wants us to get tormented. He wants us to get hurt deeply as we're growing up and continue to get hurt by adults, having them say things and do things to us to get us to take an offense and to get us to be angry. And you have to be unoffendable. You have to be completely forgivable. There'd be no one getting divorced if people got delivered. And that is so true. The Lord told me that, the need for attorneys. This is like I think it was last August or something, September. I was somewhere in New Mexico, and I was driving by the downtown area, and they had an attorney there, a great big attorney office there. And they said there'd be no need for attorneys if there weren't people that were taking offenses and getting angry and hearing the voices of demons. If they were all delivered, everyone would get along, they would love each other, they would be like Christ. So it's true. It really is. So today, how determined are you for freedom from the enemy? So I have come to learn that there is currently a woman right now on a Greyhound bus who left some time ago from, I believe it was, well, it's in New Jersey. So I don't know if it's Jersey City or where, but someplace in New Jersey, on a Greyhound bus to come out here to Douglas, Wyoming tonight to go through deliverance. That's how hungry that she is, how driven that she is. She wants freedom. Are you willing to get on a bus and go 1,800 miles across the country in order to get set free and delivered? That tells me that that person is serious. They want freedom, and obviously there are people where I go that may have heard about that, Freedom Night or training that don't even bother, to attend. And it's very sad. There's places obviously that Jesus went that people blew him off and didn't listen and did not want what he had, even though what he had was the living water that would cause people's lives to dramatically change. And so that's what we're seeing with the ministry that the Lord has brought me into, is a ministry that's really, truly life-changing. If the people could actually watch some of the deliverance testimonies from people around the world that have gotten set free and heard the testimony saying, oh my gosh, I have peace now. I don't hear the enemy chatter anymore, and the healings that are taking place, and that their marriages don't have strife and arguing and fighting in it. They would want that. But the enemy wants to come against this ministry, wants to come against deliverance more than any ministry style, because when you do deliverance, you're truly getting people cleaned and swept freed from the tormenting thoughts that they've had for so long in their lives. And so you have to understand that, if you sign up to join into this, either my ministry, other ministries that focus on deliverance, get ready, because the enemy is going to try to come against you, and it could be coming against you with circumstances, with physical afflictions, things like that. So you have to be strong. You have to be a mighty man or woman of valor to stand up to it. So again, I can't wait to meet this woman tonight that's traveling 1,800 miles. In fact, she was saying that she is willing to just travel all the way back without even, sleeping in a hotel. And of course, there's, several here at Restored to Freedom that were, ready to give her the money that needs to be taken up to give her a sleep, in a hotel, or she can sleep the night in the home of the host of the lady that's having this in her home, so that she can stay there too. So, I just, that blows me away. That sets the all-time record, put it that way. Before that, there was a woman from Louisiana that drove up to, I think it was Nashville, Tennessee, which was about a 12-hour drive. So this is total of about, I think, with the stops and gas, about 30 hours of drive time. And so I'm going to make it worth her while, obviously, and giving her, I give out, this is so funny, I give out however many hours it takes a person to drive the longest to one of the events. I give them that many number of books. So in the past, I've had people that have driven, 7 hours, 12 hours was the all time. Now it's going to be 30. So I will give her 30 books of her choosing to make it worth her time, worth her while, and from Restored to Freedom. So, and we will pay for a hotel room if she wants to stay there, or if she wants to stay in a person's home, she can do that as well. So anyway, that shows me just how determined some people are wanting to get set free, and that just blows me away. And I know it blows away the Lord, because it's like, oh my gosh, for someone to come that far, out here to the middle of nowhere, and it is peaceful though. I mean, obviously, coming from New Jersey, I know that I've been there before, driven around lots of toll roads and lots of traffic and lots of angry people that hear the voices of demonic spirits causing them to get angrier, that need deliverance. So we're better to get delivered than out here in peaceful Wyoming. So anyways, in fact, I remember when I was having a lot of strife with my own family, there was nothing that I would have done for my son to help him get set free. I spent thousands of dollars, and none of the Christian psychologists knew about deliverance, and they couldn't truly help him. And it took one prayer, once I was taught about my authority, that got him set free, and instantly I got my son back. It was such an amazing transformation. I just couldn't believe that, and again, once a child gets above 18, moves out of the house, then they're on their own. Then it becomes more of a challenge. They have to truly want to get set free, just like the adults that I'm working with. They have to want this. Well, if a person's gone through enough pain in their life and doesn't have peace and so forth, they're going to want this, and so it's exciting. It's awesome. The Lord is doing great things, and don't let the enemy stop you from getting set free. So I'm going to read in Mark 5:25 through 34. A lot of you know about this story. It says, now a certain woman had a flow of blood for 12 years and had suffered many things from many physicians. So again, had suffered many things from many physicians. So that means she tried everything that the doctors told her to do to try to get healed and couldn't. What I've learned is that there's a lot of our pains that are spiritual, has a spiritual root. And to get set free, truly set free, requires us to go to the spiritual level. And the spiritual level oftentimes requires for us to forgive those that have hurt us. That's how the enemy comes in, is to hurt our soul. Our soul gets wounded, our mind, will, and emotions. And then the enemy starts to speak to us and causes us to take an offense and be angry and have pride, and not to humble ourselves. And that can keep us in the sickness that we have. So she suffered many things from many physicians. She had spent all that she had and was no better, but rather grew worse. When she heard about Jesus, she came behind him in the crowd and touched his garment. For she said, if only I may touch his clothes, I shall be made well. Immediately, the fountain of her blood was dried up, and she felt in her body that she was healed of the affliction. And Jesus, immediately knowing in himself that power had gone out of him, turned around in the crowd and said, who touched my clothes? But his disciples said to him, you see the multitude thronging you, and you say, who touched me? And he looked around to see her who had done this thing. But the woman, fearing and trembling, knowing what had happened to her, came and fell down before him and told him the whole truth. And he said to her, daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed of your affliction. So again, she had the faith to believe that all it took for her was to touch the garments of Jesus, and she had to fight through the crowd. So there's a lot of times where it takes an effort on our part to receive the healing that we want. We can't oftentimes just show up and say, okay, I expect I'm going to get healed as soon as somebody says a prayer. Sometimes you have to spend some time researching. You have to watch some things, some teaching to understand that, okay, if I have been hurt deeply by other people and I've taken an offense and I've got a lot of anger, a lot of bitterness that can stop my healing. Such as Naaman. Remember Naaman? He had to humble himself. He had to go to Elisha, and he was expecting Elisha just to speak a word to him. But instead, Elisha knew that he had some pride. He needed to humble himself. So he said, go down to the dirty, filthy Jordan River 7 times and dip, and then you'll get healed of your leprosy. And he didn't want to do that. He's like, what? I'm not doing that. You just, if I'm going to go to any river, I'm going to go to a clean river or a lake like this. And Elisha said, no, this is the deal. You need to humble yourself and go down to the dirty, filthy Jordan River. And I've been baptized in the Jordan River, and I know that it's filthy and that they can have rats in there and so forth. So it's not clean. So he did it. He humbled himself and he got healed. Now there's an effort on our part. There's an effort that I had to go through to learn all this stuff. I had to go through a lot of sacrificing. I didn't want to go through it. It was awful. It was not fun. It was horrible. And it was not a good, fun life that I had to go through for 6 years of my training. But when I went through all of that, I finally learned about the spirits of Jezebel and Leviathan and Ahab, and have subsequently learned about legion and witchcraft curses and how real that these are, and how people have thoughts that we're supposed to take captive. It says how Paul talks about that 2 Corinthians chapter 10, 3 through 6. We're supposed to take every thought captive for a reason, because some of our thoughts are coming from demons. Why would we want to listen and entertain a thought from a demon? Because they're going to cause you to get into anger, taking an offense, twisting things. That's why it's so extremely important to discern the thoughts that are coming to you, so you don't act like a puppet at the enemy's whim to do things to hurt other people and continue on helping other people to get inflicted by these demons. That's why a lot of the parents end up taking out their pains from their parents on their children, and they turn their children into the same spirits of Jezebel afflicted people that they were. And it goes on and on and on and on. That's the goal of the demons. The demons are the bad ones, not the humans. But the demons affect the humans to cause the humans to think the humans are bad. And so that's why they have a lot of this anger and hatred and bitterness going on. So we have to get set free. So there's homework that we have to do to get freed. You can't just have someone speak a word and automatically, you think about that. If you've got a very strong spirit of pride, which is the spirit of Leviathan, if you got healed, do you think your pride would go away? Probably not. And can pride keep you out of heaven? Absolutely. Look at Lucifer. He got kicked out. So the Lord wants us to humble ourselves. The Lord wants us to oftentimes press in and to put forth effort in order to have what needs to be done to our lives, to have the layers of anger and bitterness and so forth pulled back and peeled back and gotten freed from, so that we can truly have the heart of Christ left over after all that work. So anyway, Luke 5:17 through 26 says this. Now it happened on a certain day, as he was teaching, Jesus, that there were Pharisees and teachers of the law sitting by, who had come out of every town of Galilee, Judea, and Jerusalem. And the power of the Lord was present to heal them. Then behold, men brought on a bed a man who was paralyzed, whom they sought to bring in and lay before him. And when they could not find how they might bring him in because of the crowd, they went up on the housetop and let him down with his bed through the tiling into the midst before Jesus. When he, Jesus, saw their faith, he said to him, Man, your sins are forgiven you. And the scribes and the Pharisees began to reason, saying, Who is this who speaks blasphemies? Who can forgive sins but God alone? But when Jesus perceived their thoughts, so again, the Lord knows our thoughts and our mind and our heart. He answered and said to them, Why are you reasoning in your hearts? Which is easier to say, Your sins are forgiven you, or to say, Rise up and walk? But that you may know that the Son of Man has power on earth to forgive sins, he said to the man who was paralyzed, I say to you, arise, take up your bed, and go to your house. Immediately he rose up before them, took up what he had been lying on, and departed to his own house, glorifying God. And they were all amazed, and they glorified God and were filled with fear, saying, "We have seen strange things today." How funny is that? So the point of this is that this man needed to be healed, and he couldn't find out a way to get in to where Jesus was. So his friends ended up helping him, assisting him to get him there. So oftentimes there may be a time in your life where you need some help and you need some friends that are good friends that are going to help you to either understand and comprehend the truth of how to be set free, how to be healed, or to get to a certain place. You know, this woman that's traveling 1,800 miles from New Jersey to Wyoming to get, go through deliverance, healing. I don't know exactly. I've not talked to her. I don't even know what her name is. She's been talking and corresponding to the woman that's hosting this in Douglas, Wyoming. So I'm excited to meet her, though, because I want to meet this woman. I mean, that's incredible. For someone to travel, 30 hours? That's a long ways to go. That's incredible. So I want to meet this woman, and understand exactly what's going on, because the Lord, I've seen this. I'll say this. I was out in, where was I? I was out in, I think it's Alexandria, Virginia, back in 2017 in the summer. It was near Washington, D.C. And I was taking people through explaining to them the characteristics of the spirit of Jezebel and Leviathan. And as I'm describing all these characteristics, there's a woman that's in the back of the church who's putting her hand up, waving at me and pointing to herself, basically admitting to everyone that what I am describing is her. And I was blown away. I was thinking, oh my gosh, I didn't think I'd ever see someone that would humble themselves enough to say, "You're describing me," in front of people. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, she's already delivered, when you get to that point, because that's 90% of a battle of a person that has and struggles with the spirit of Jezebel and Leviathan is the pride that will stop them for wanting to admit. So that when you get rid of the pride, that really breaks open the person getting set free and delivered. And then we see a lot of healings that take place, because when the demons are gone, then all of a sudden you feel lighter. You can hear the Lord clearer. You get healed. There's a girl that was 22 years of age that watched one of the deliverance videos a couple of days ago, and she felt lighter immediately, and her shoulder pain left. It was gone. So you can understand that there are people that are very determined. They're tired of going through the same old pains and so forth. And I know, because I used to go to all these different churches, and oftentimes they would have prayer at the end, but what I noticed is that they didn't really know about their authority. They didn't do anything with deliverance. And so I'm looking at all these churches that are not seeing the results that they could see. And that's why the Lord's having me now to start to raise up these restorative freedom deliverance centers around, around the world. Right now we've got 100 people trained in 9 countries. We've got, I think we'll be up to 7, 8, 9 centers by the end of next week that are already operating. When there's people get certified under restorative freedom, they understand how to do the deliverance. And so when they're a part of a church, they're a part of a healing room, part of a house of prayer, then they can then become certified under restorative freedom, because they'll have people there that know how to do this deliverance. Again, we don't do it weird, we do it normal. I'm a business guy, that's where I came from. I used to sell software to banks. How much more corporate America can you be? I used to work for Intuit Financial Services, the maker of Quicken and QuickBooks and TurboTax. Corporate America, small businesses, doing taxes. So if God can use someone like me to understand this and get across the message to people, then he can use you to raise you up where you're at, to start getting people set free and delivered. So the Lord he's using a lot of individuals that said, you know what, I know I'm supposed to do this ministry. I know I'm supposed to help people get set free and delivered. And I know the people at my church and people that are friends may hate me because they still have demons that have not been delivered from yet, but I'm going to still answer the call of what the Lord's calling me to do, because there's millions out there that we need to get set free before Christ returns. And a lot of them are out there in the churches, going through the motions and hurting people. And that's why the Lord wants to get us all set free and purified. So anyways, I'm so excited about tonight. I can't wait. It can't get here soon enough. Again, it's at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. See, there's mountains. There's mountains around all over the place. I see mountains and bluffs and snow-topped mountains. Right now, it's supposed to be a high of, I think, 68 or something today. So it's going to be a beautiful day in Douglas, Wyoming. There is actually no wind. This is like never. I mean, look at the lake. It's not little bitty tiny ripples because there's no wind. And it's always breezy, always windy in Wyoming. So something's going to happen huge tonight. In fact, I just found out from the lady that's hosting it that there's a woman from Nebraska now that is coming to here. So I'm excited. I can't wait. I know that the anticipation is there and building. And I know a lot of you who have walked other people through deliverances have seen the same amazing results. I get calls every day. I get messages every day from people around the world saying, thank you so much. This is amazing. It changed my life. It saved my marriage. I've been healed of this, 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 and this. And if you've not gotten it yet, if you've not gotten healed yet, continue to press in. Don't give up. It means the enemy's trying to resist you. And when the enemy resists you, if you give up and say, this is not going to happen, blah, 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 then the enemy wins. I'm extremely determined individual. I used to run marathons, which is 26.2 miles. I ran I think 5 marathons in Detroit, in Indianapolis, in Columbus, Ohio, in St. Louis, in Chicago. And you have to be really determined to run 26.2 miles. And in fact, the last practice marathon I ran, the fastest was 3 hours and I think it was 15 minutes or 10 minutes, something like that, which is pretty fast running time. Throughout the entire marathon, that's running the whole time, so without pausing. So you can do a lot more than what you think when you are determined not to give up. The enemy wants you to get discouraged. Discouragement comes from the spirit of legion. He wants you to think about all the bad things that happen in your life and say, my gosh, blame everybody. If it wasn't for my mom, it wasn't for my dad, all these bad things. What I do is I count all joy and say, you know what? I love to overcome the enemy and all these horrible things that I had to endure and all the sacrificing, because it made me stronger of who I can be in Christ. So there's many of you that need to count it all joy if you've gone through, satanic ritual abuse, all these horrible things, because you took the direct shot from Satan's best and you overcame it, or you're overcoming it. You can do way more than what you think. I remember I wanted to give up midway through the 6 years of sacrifice it took me. And I was like, no, I will not give up. I don't care what the enemy does. I will continue to press in and get stronger for it every single day. And it seemed like it would never end. But I'm like, I don't care. I've got the fortitude now to overcome way greater things. And the Lord was preparing me for now what I'm coming into. There's a lot of Pharisees that are in the churches today. And they would hate to have you ever get delivered. They want to keep their positions of power. And those demons that are possessing them, essentially, and again, oppressing them, most of them, but they don't want to have those humans to get set free. So they'll come against and stop and try to come against deliverance more than any ministry. So you have to continue to press in. There's some things that you may have to do. There may be some times that the Lord's going to say, listen, the people that are in charge of that church, they're not feeding you what you need. So you need to go supplement that somewhere else where you can continue to grow and get stronger with the truth. I wanted to know the truth. When I was getting mentored from my mentor, he taught me things that it changed my life. He taught me about the authority of the believer, of a Christian. I prayed for my son. I cast out demons, and it worked. 18 years of age, for 10 years, he was tormented, and he tormented me. He tormented his family, and I commanded that spirit to go. Whatever the spirits were, I didn't even know. It didn't have any names. I didn't care. I just took authority, and then they were gone, and I got my son back. And he's never been the same since. So we need to walk in the same authority as Jesus Christ. We need to understand what that authority is. And then we need to continue to speak out and declare things and change the atmosphere wherever you're at and walk in the full authority of Jesus Christ. So, anyways, all that being said, so tonight I will be again in Douglas, Wyoming, 7 p.m. Mountain Time. And I will probably do Facebook Live like I normally do. And then Friday and Saturday, I'll be in Billings, Montana at Everlasting Covenant Congregation. I'll also say this, tomorrow I'm interviewing the Christian psychologist Dominic Herbst from Restoring Relationships. You don't want to miss that. He is amazing. He knows more Bible verses than any psychologist I'd ever met. And he understands deliverance, and he's referred a lot of his people to me to get delivered, and I refer a lot of my people to him to continue the soul wound healing process. And we are going to talk about, let me find it here. We're going to talk about this tomorrow, how to heal soul wounds that have become infected. And then on Thursday, I am interviewing Joy and Frank from Angola, Indiana. And they have an amazing, miraculous story to talk about how the Lord saved their marriage through deliverance. So you guys don't miss watching that, whether you watch it live or recorded later. This is going to give hope for people, for couples who have struggled, where there's one spouse struggling more with the Jezebel, one more with the Ahab, and how the Lord got them set free and delivered. The couple went through a divorce, got remarried, went through a separation, and then came back together after all of this deliverance. It's amazing testimony. And I got to meet them up in Angola, Indiana a couple of weeks ago. So that's Thursday. And then Friday, I'm interviewing Pastor Steve Heimbichner from Everlasting Covenant Congregation, which is a Messianic Jewish congregation that I'll be at on Friday night doing a freedom night, and then Saturday doing a training and equipping. They saw more people get healed when I was there the one night back in June than they had seen the previous 12 years combined because of deliverance. So I can't wait to interview Pastor Steve Heimbichner. He's amazing. And then, let me see. I just added, then I'm going to, again, this weekend, Billings, Montana, Friday and Saturday. Friday night at 7, and then Saturday from 1 to 5 for the training. And then May 3rd and 4th, I will be in Idaho Falls, Idaho, which is just west of Yellowstone. Going to spend a couple days in Yellowstone. Looking forward to that, in Jackson Hole. A little bit of personal time. But then on May the 3rd, Friday night at 7, we'll be in Idaho Falls at some activity center. Not sure exactly what the name of it is, but it's like Idaho Falls Activity Center or something like that. And then May the 4th, I'll be doing a training there 1 to 5. And then we just added this today, May 18th, I'll be in Portland, Oregon, for all you Portlanders. So yay. And we're setting that up right now. You will see the details post haste, which means I think very quickly, as soon as Tina gets it on there, on my Facebook as well as on the website. So May 18th in Portland. Again, I'm planning to be in Southeast Washington, the Tri-Cities, the week before that. And then, let's see, going to Northern California, probably the first week of June, looks like. And I will tell you as that gets coming together as well. And of course, I'm going to be in Arizona for about 3 weeks in June, and then several places there. And then July, coming back to Texas at New Braunfels. Never been to New Braunfels, Texas, to do ministry before for I think 3 days now. And then I'm going to Louisiana, Natchitoches, Louisiana. And that is sometime in July. And then I'll be July 21st in Sandusky, Ohio at Eagle's Nest Church International, which they are a RTF deliverance center. So the senior pastor, Daryl Gant, is certified. So if you want delivered there, you can set up an appointment with Daryl at his church at Eagle's Nest in Sandusky, Ohio. So yay, God is on the move, and it is awesome to watch all this develop. So Alrighty, well, I am going to continue to press in to the Lord today. I'm excited to see what's going to happen tonight, and hopefully I can Facebook Live it. I'm planning to, if I've got a good enough signal, and I can show you. Let me show you this place. It's pretty. I want to give peace to wherever I'm at with people. So let me show you some peaceful things here. In fact, I'm glad that I didn't fall over because I'm on the edge of a downhill decline here. Ugh. All righty, let me show you. Bingo. So pretty. And you can see right there, that's where my chair was, getting ready to fall down, but I had to prop a rock up underneath here. So anyway, look at the lake. It's just pretty. So peaceful. Birds are chirping. That I love peace. Sure beats yelling and striving and arguing. That is for sure. Alrighty, so I will let you guys go. Make sure I don't fall down the mountain. Have an awesome rest of your day, and I can't wait to see what happens tonight. Yes! I'm so excited. I'm like a kid in a candy store. I'm a kid from a cornfield in a candy store. All right, well, see you guys later. Love you. Bye-bye.